This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
Welcome into the Sports Source Digital Network. I'm John Pennington. We are going to have a fun one today. What do you think about the Vanderbilt Whistler? What do you think about the Cowbells at Mississippi State? That's the topic for today. I'm joined by John Wilkerson right here. I'm joined by Bob Hodge, and we are going to discuss the 6 SEC traditions that Vol fans hate the most. And look, the bottom line is, if you are a Georgia fan or a Kentucky fan, I'm sure you get tired of hearing Rocky Top over and over and over again. Well, we cover Tennessee, so that's out. We're going to be doing that about your school if you're watching from Georgia or Kentucky or whatever. And the fun will be kind of listing some of these things. It's kind of a wide open topic. So what is a tradition to one person might not be a tradition to someone else. I'm interested to see how many things we cook up here. But this is what it's all about. The 6 most hated by Vol fans traditions from across the SEC, and I will start. I've already mentioned it. We were talking to some baseball players this week. They've got the Vanderbilt series coming up this weekend. One of the players said, I just have to say it, I hate the Vandy Whistler. These are in no particular order.
Yep.
We're just going to pick our nominees and say, yeah, that's in there. If we get 2 people who say, no, I kind of like that, that's a good one, we'll scratch it off. Otherwise, we'll put it as a nominee. The Vanderbilt Whistler. I don't know how anybody can't be sick of this guy. In terms of, I think his own fans would get tired of hearing him whistle.
Without a doubt.
Every single pitch after pitch after pitch, whistling. The Vandy Whistler, to me, is the very definition of a tradition somewhere else that would annoy you, that you would hate. And as someone who calls baseball games and has dealt with that guy more than anyone else in terms of he's in your vicinity and you're hearing it, I'm guessing you really don't like that guy.
Yeah, and the thing is, if they were being completely honest, more than half of the Vanderbilt fans wish he could go somewhere. Now, the thing is, and there were rumors that were circulating over the last couple of years on the internet that he had passed away. So don't wish that on anybody.
No.
But the thing is, there's more than one person that's filled in this role.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of Vandy Whistlers, and if one had to work or something like that,
the other one takes over.
The other one would take over, and then times you had competing and dueling Whistlers, which if you thought one was the end of the world bad, but it's just, it ruins it for everybody. I mean, people just wanting to tune in and watch perhaps the SEC tournament, and you're blessed with his presence in Hoover. It's just like I had to turn down the sound.
Yeah.
And it really is just the most annoying thing ever. So I can't believe that somebody still consciously decides to ruin the experience for everybody, whether they're wearing orange and white or black and gold. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, just please get somewhere.
Well, and there are videos online of people telling him, you're a rotten person, please shut up. And then other Vandy fans are, you leave him alone.
Yeah.
You scoreboard. It's like, this has nothing to do with the scoreboard. You're just actively trying to annoy people who have paid just as much as you have to sit here in this ballpark. If you want to cheer your team, that's fine. But to try and annoy other people, that's a
It
bad
reminds me, I wonder if the roots of that go back to, remember Whistling Ray of the Dallas Cowboys, 70s and 80s? And he wasn't annoying, though. Seemed like a fun guy in a football stadium filled with 80,000 people. You really didn't pick up on him. The cameras
unless
would show
you were
him.
a poor schmuck who had to sit beside him.
Yeah, but I mean, he kind of moved around. And so, but I just wonder if that's where somebody got the idea of
I saw an
whistling.
interview with one of these whistlers who said that he has some sort of deal. If he yells too much, his voice gets hoarse. So this is a better way for him to do it. It's his way to make noise. Yeah. So no, I don't think it's a salute to somebody else. I just think it's a jackass.
We could literally do a list of things at Vandy that irritate me.
That's the funny thing. I've put a bunch of nominees here. I didn't realize how many Vanderbilt things annoy me. But you can tell me if these annoy you or not. All right.
Barry Goheen.
Kevin Stallings. Here's another one. It's Vanderbilt number 2. All right, so I think we all agree the Vandy Whistler should be on the list of nominees.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Number 2, I don't know that this is a tradition or not. And I could see why, if you're Vanderbilt, you like it because it's unique. It's a little like the blue field at Boise. But their basketball arena where you put the teams at either end, and yes, they let the coaches kind of come up the sideline now. I still just think that's dumb. And I would like to think that if I were covering that at Tennessee, I would be willing to say it's dumb.
Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. I'm used to watching a basketball game in one way.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, most of us see most of our sports on television. That throws off the means en scène of the basketball game on TV.
Nice.
So that's going to make my list.
Thoughts?
It's definitely out there just because it's different and it's been grandfathered in. And I just wonder what it would take for them to correct it, since it is elevated in terms of the floor that they play on. But they did at least amend it to where it's not into the world in terms of horrible for other teams to try and communicate when they're the road team. But I do think, yes, it does get bothersome because it's like, oh, that's right, it's Vandy, it's Memorial Gym, and they're on the baseline.
Yeah, I mean, it's this isn't in the SEC, but I mentioned the blue field at Boys. I will not watch a game there. It hurts my eyes. I will not look at it. I will not watch it. I don't even want to see highlights from it. I think it's stupid. I think it looks like a high school. And it's like, well, we're being different for the sake of being different. I don't like being different just for the sake of being different.
And then somebody else up in that area has a red field.
Yeah, Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
Eastern Washington. There you go.
Looks like they're playing on blood. Yeah, not a fan of that stuff. So Vandy's benches at either end. All right, here's one, and we could probably do this. It depends. Like if there's somebody watching us from Mississippi State, I'm sure they get tired of whatever the Ole Miss band plays over and over. But one that stands out because they've been so good recently, and they're on television constantly. Georgia with the glory to old Georgia. After play. Oh my Lord! And again, this gets back to flip it. This would be Rocky Top.
Yep.
This would be Rocky Top for anybody else.
For
That's
15
right.
other schools.
But man, that one stands out more than some of the other fight songs that you hear again and again. That you may have other fight songs that rank above that one that you get a little tired of. That are those. It's really not the fight song as much as it is those little we play this after every play kind of thing.
Yes.
That's what gets a little irritating to me.
Makes my list.
Yeah, USC. Okay, that makes your list. Does that make your list? Or?
There's another aspect of the Georgia experience that makes my list, and that would just be the grown-ups barking at you. It's
adults woofing.
That's right. And I mean, and that's for all sports. Walking out of Foley Field after a baseball game, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, all right then. I guess this is where we are, and you have to do that.
I don't know if they still do it down at Georgia anymore for football games, but they used to put up on the Jumbotron, let the big dog feed. I don't know if they still do it, so I can't say whether or not it should make our list. But that to me just was horrible. Let the big dog feed. No, so that's not a nominee.
Yeah.
It's just something that irritated me when I used to go to Athens and watch ball games.
See, every now and then you can't help but sometimes walk by a canine unit and the dog inside will bark at you, letting you know he's there.
Yeah, right.
I'm fine with that. No.
Well, the adults barking at you. Okay, I didn't have that on there. That's a good one. Here's one that it's great. It's immediately recognizable. It is unique. But if you are the other guy getting it done to you, you hate it. Gator Chomp. I'm just not a fan of the Gator Chomp. I'm also not a fan of teams that beat Florida doing the Gator Chomp back at them. Now, I know, and Tennessee's done that a million times, football and basketball. Their fans do it, and Florida's asking for it. If you do something, people are going to mock you with it. If the SEC loses to a Big Ten school, you get the SEC chant. That's what happens. Tennessee played Dixieland Delight in 2022. Let the Bama fans have it. So I'm just not a big fan of throwing it back in somebody's face like that. That's just not my personality. At least on television, it's not. But the Gator Chomp in general, it is a good tradition for them. I would hate it if I'm sitting down there losing to a team and a guy's doing this to me from a foot away. That would not be fun.
Try sitting in Neyland Stadium and somebody from Florida has bought the ticket behind you.
Oh, boy.
And Peyton Manning in his last game against Florida is behind, 35-0? Very quickly, and behind you somebody is doing this, and you tell your wife, we're either going to go home or I'm going to jail because I'm no longer taking this. Yes, the Gator Chomp is on my list.
Yeah, it has to be up for the discussion simply for the fact that, as you mentioned, it is one of the most annoying things that you'll see because that's how they celebrate on the field. That's how they celebrate in the stands. That's how they celebrate everywhere.
Well, I'm sure they're at home, their kid's first birthday going, yeah.
Well, but but if that were Tennessee, we'd love it. Because it is, I think it is a good one. I think it's a great one. I think it's one of the best. I just hate it.
Exactly.
It's some other school.
Yes.
Because that's the point of view,
Yes.
the POV. It's like sure, and you can understand why they enjoy it. And when you have the opportunity, as they did in March, or I guess early April, to celebrate another national championship, Gator jumps all around.
And see, that's why it's going to be interesting to see how we rank these at the end. Does the fact you respect it more make you rank it? Or does the fact you respect it more take it out? Because to me, Gator Chomp and grown men barking at you are both annoying. One, though, somebody came up with that, and it's clever. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a Mensa member who said, I'm going to bark like a dog.
That's right.
That's just kind of goofy.
Did you see the G on my bald head? I've gotten to where I leave it on all year round.
All right, the next one here, the next one is one that I put it on here, though I personally laugh at it. I think it's great. Every school for a while there got into this. You know, you'd hear a panther growling, you'd hear a dog barking all over the loudspeakers. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it is wildly annoying to hear a rooster crow over and over and over again. However, I give South Carolina a lot of credit because you're taking an animal that isn't ferocious and scary. You're just taking a rooster and doing it over and over and over again. There's a part of me, I would not put that on my list personally, but I know so many others would, that I nominate that as the example of all of those, because you can do it for a lot. Tennessee started the Sick 'em Smoky thing, which thankfully died.
Sick 'em Smoky, and then a dog growling. Yeah, I didn't like that.
I'm glad that died.
So I'm going to throw in roosters crowing with Sick 'em Smoky, and just don't need it.
It just kind of represents all those.
Don't need the wildcat. Yeah. And up in Kentucky, they're wildcats, and they've got a growling cat.
Bobcat thing, yeah.
It's not the way bobcats don't make that noise. Change your name, change your noise. But yes, I'll go with throw that on.
Looking for authenticity, list. I believe, is what the bottom line is.
This from the Outdoorsman.
It would be on my list simply for the fact, and I would not disassociate it from Sandstorm, because you have.
I think Sandstorm is cool.
Well, it was the first time I heard it, and then they, of course, stole it. But and it's interesting. As one of the game day features, they had the guy who wrote it. You just talked about it, and it was like, okay. But anyhow, I just can't disassociate one from the other, because one, you can't hear the roosters crow without it, but not hardly. It's very rare that that's the case. I will say this: when they were playing their baseball games at their old ballpark. The guy who wore the South Carolina batting helmet would bring Sir Spur, and he would sit him up on the dugout on this little carrier, his little animal case and crate, and he put a little bird feed on top of it. And this was before
sitting out.
Yes, this was before you had all the safety nets that go from home plate all the way down. And I just knew at some point in time there was going to be a foul ball and an explosion of feathers.
The Randy Johnson thing, yeah.
Thankfully, it never happened, but I just knew, because he was right here and home plate was right there. But that rooster would get right out on top of its crate. It would enjoy its bird feed and just kind of hang out.
And they were endangering Sir Spur.
Yes. But that was always a part of Sarge Fry Field, because there was the rooster.
Are there any other SEC teams that have a sound effect they play that annoy you? Again, I'm using this as kind of a sound effect on the scoreboard kind of thing over the PA. Because there are other noisemakers we're about to get into.
Right. Yes. No, there's not one that shows up on my list or my
I just the others
honorable mentions.
Yeah, the others are just silly, but that one the others are annoying, and that one's annoying for the sound it makes. But there's something about it that shows a cheeky sense of humor, because they know that no one's going to be scared of a rooster. I just think it's kind of funny. All right. Here's one that isn't funny. I've been there, and it is, oh my God, it is so annoying. And they did this at my high school. There were people that did this. Cowbells at Mississippi State. Not a fan of the cowbell. The cowbell is a horror, with the exception of We Need More Cowbell, with the exception of one sketch and Don't Fear the Reaper, one song.
Yes.
There aren't many good uses for the cowbell, in my opinion.
That will be the one I will defend.
The cowbell?
The cowbells.
I
Because
despise it.
just like the rooster noise was original to South Carolina, I don't know of anywhere else and this dates back into the 70s when Mississippi State would make that rare appearance on television and you would hear the cowbells in the stadium. And I just didn't have a problem with it. And I think the SEC put down a rule about when the cowbells can actually be used and everything.
And it's never really enforced.
So I never had a problem with the cowbells because I heard it for years and years and years. Once every 3 or 4 years.
Have you been to a game at Starkville?
I've been to Starkville several times.
And it didn't bother you?
Didn't bother me. Just don't, because that one to me, hey, that's kind of original. It kind of fits the school. I mean, Auburn maybe should have cowbells, but I just never had a problem with the cowbells.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the cowbell. I just, one, as you say, it kind of says hoocher. I mean, no offense to anybody that's running around with the cowbells, but that's not exactly, and now, Yo-Yo Ma on the cowbell. Hey, you got me a cowbell. All right. And what are you telling us? It's Mayberry. I like the rooster thing. It's one rooster. This is 60,000 cowbells all going at once. And the idea that, okay, now you can only do it before the play clock hit. Yeah. Anybody who's ever watched one of those games,
think about it.
Gling, 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 gling. I would get to, I guarantee if you went down to Starkville and you looked at people, they would all have a bigger right arm than they do left arm because it's constant this stuff.
If you think about it, the tradition at Mississippi State could actually be what supports the current cowbell industry in the United States. Because where else do you actually have cowbells anymore? We had cattle when I grew up. We never had a bell.
I'd like to see how many of them come from China. Let's dig into these. All right, so we got one person. What are your thoughts on the cowbell? Come on.
It's certainly one for consideration. It would not be in my final list of 6.
I just can't believe. I just want to leave. I just want to get up, stop the show, and leave. You guys.
There is the obligatory game day feature where it's like, well, here are my 2,700 different varieties of cowbells, where they always talk to a Hail Stater.
Yes, and that's.
Or here's the one that when we won the Egg Bowl in '07, this is the one that I rang. And I mean, so you always get to see the litany of cowbells for some as they are festooned with them as they approach the stadium. But it is not in my top 6. And that's just because the hatred for State is not as intense as it is for other rivals.
And I saw one of those features where somebody was ringing cowbells from the 1800s. So you got a little bit of history works its way in there too. I'm defending the cowbell.
Yeah, I don't see much difference.
More cowbell.
I don't see the difference between the cowbell and the whistler. I'm sitting here and you're annoying me during the game with your noisemaker. I'm not a fan of the noisemaker. But that's just me. I will say this. Having been to Starkville, probably the friendliest place I've ever been. Went down there and did some television stuff at in Columbus, Mississippi. They do right across from Reform, Alabama. They do a barbecue festival, or they did when I was down there years ago. And we went in there from Knoxville, television crew, and we were shooting. People, it was like we were family. So, very nice people. Just, I wish they'd sit on their cowbells.
See, Vandy doesn't have a Jerry Clower.
Yes.
Mississippi State does.
So you're going to get credit for having a clown. All right.
When the mouth of the South.
All right, here we go. All right, then let's get your take on this one. Back in December, Tennessee played basketball at Madison Square Garden against Miami, and the second game was Arkansas and Michigan. John Calipari was in his first month there. Arkansas fans took over MSG. I mean, credit them, man. I mean, Tennessee had a nice little faction. Miami had a smaller faction. Michigan had a good crowd. Arkansas took the thing over. They were all over the place, all decked out in their red, and all Pig Sooieing over and over again. And they have to stand up and do the action, and it's loud, and they go. And I just thought, you talk about grown men barking like dogs.
Yep.
This is like a dance that's choreographed with a 3-part bark to it. But Woo Pig Sooie, where do you stand, gentlemen?
It makes my list.
Doesn't make my list.
I'm not a fan. Hey, I'm all for it if you want to do it before the game, you want to do it after the game, and even if there's like a 7th inning stretch or a halftime deal, fine. But it's just at any point in time, you know it's possible. And so it's kind of like waiting on somebody to slap you.
Yeah.
It's the threat of it.
The threat of the Woo Pig Sooie.
That's right. It's the fact that it might rain, and it looks like rain. Just because it hasn't rained doesn't mean it's not ruining your day.
And this is one where we could all get in big fights here on television, because I could say, what's the difference between the Cowbell and the Woo Pig Sooie to you? I think they're very similar. I hate them both equally.
We'll see.
They're both annoying. But you have a problem with Woo Pig Sooie, and you don't have a problem. And we could do this on all these. Mm-hmm. That's like I hate Panthers, but I don't hate a Rooster. That's what's kind of bizarre about this topic that makes it a little more fun, because part of it isn't real. There's nothing tangible about it. It's just, I personally hate that.
Correct.
And you can't really explain why.
Well, I can explain why Woo Pig Sooie does not bother me, because I grew up on a farm with everybody else around us was farms.
I think we've gotten
so
to the
I
gist.
knew people who actually Woo Pig Sooie because they were trying to move some pigs around. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's just, okay, it makes sense. You got a pig, Woo Pig Sooie.
Cowbells,
don't
so
have
no
a
wonder.
problem
Now,
with it.
we've gotten to the gist of this one. All right, what about this school that just blasts in the smell of manure? Kind of like it. I'm a big fan. Grew up around manure.
I thought that was Florida.
Smell-o-vision.
For about 15 years, it was Butch Jones and Derek Dooley whooping it out there at Neyland. All right, so you and I put the Pig Sooie on there?
Yep.
Okay. This one doesn't bother me, but I just think it's silly from a different time, and I'm guessing the Auburn people hate it. Rammer, jammer, that whole thing. I meant to print it out, but I didn't. The rammer, jammer chant, and we'll put these two together. Hotty toddy. Mm-hmm. I would just feel silly as an adult doing that, personally.
I'm all about putting rammer, jammer, yellow hammer on the list. Yes, on the list. Do not like it.
I was like, what if it were here mule, mule, here mule? It's like, well, that we said on the farm. Yeah, rammer, jammer, and hotty toddy.
Yeah. Again, it's as you said, it's kind of like, all right, it'll get on your last nerve if you're there, but to me, it's not the most infringement. It's not the greatest infringement from an Alabama experience, because for me, it is Dixieland Delight. It drives me nuts.
That's the bigger deal?
Yep, that's the bigger deal for me.
Okay.
I can go with Dixieland Delight, too.
Well, the funny thing is, as Tennessee has pointed out, it is a song about Tennessee.
Yes.
It's by the band Alabama, but it starts with the line about Tennessee.
Tennessee Saturday Night.
Yeah, so it's interesting that they have gone
It's about two Tennesseans, and it's written by Tennesseans.
Okay.
In that case, it's moving up my list a long way.
All right, so you don't think Rammer, Jammer, and Hotty Toddy would go there because they're not annoying. I don't know that they're annoying as much as they. I just look at it and think it's. See, again, this gets back to
correct.
Why is this? I have a feeling about this one, but not that one. These, I just think, are silly.
Rammer Jammer would make my list before Hotty Toddy, but Dixieland Delight would make my list too.
Here is Hotty Toddy. One guy yells, "Are you ready?" Hell yeah. Damn right. Hotty Toddy, gosh almighty. Who the hell are we? Hey, flim flam, bim bam. Ole Miss, by damn. That's just stupid. I'm sorry.
Okay, that works its way further up my list
That's
now.
just stupid.
I've heard the entire thing.
Not to mention you're cursing in front of children. Once you got Rammer Jammer over
Sure
there?
do. Hey Auburn, hey Auburn, hey Auburn. I think we see a trend. We're going to beat the hell out of you. Rammer Jammer, Yellow Hammer, give 'em hell, Alabama. Hey Auburn, hey Auburn, hey Auburn. We're going to beat the hell out of you. Rammer Jammer, Yellow Hammer, give 'em hell, Alabama.
Because it's the Yellow Hammer State.
That's it.
I think that one is we're going to beat the hell out of you. Okay. That one doesn't bother me as much as Hotty Toddy because that's just flim, flam, bim, bam. I'm sorry. That's somebody who had one too many Hotty Toddies wrote that.
That's right.
Anyway, but it has to be the genteel who do it, though. I can just picture Archie and Olivia down there. Flim, flam, goddamn. All right. This won't ever make air. All right, next. Foghorn. I got another Vanderbilt. They're foghorn. I don't like foghorns, including leghorn. Not a fan of foghorn.
But you like the Rooster at South Carolina, but not Foghorn Leghorn.
And see, that's where the lines move.
I mean, it's
whereas you would like Foghorn Leghorn due to the farm thing again.
That's right.
My favorite cartoon character as a child was Foghorn Leghorn. The Foghorn at Vandy goes, anchored down at Vandy, all of that stuff. We should have our own Vandy show. They could have a museum of bad things at Vandy. So yes, the Foghorn at Vandy is on the list.
I don't know the name of it, and people, you're hearing it more often, but Vanderbilt last year during the Tennessee football game, they played that Mexican, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Is that from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or something?
No, it's much more recent than that.
It's annoying. So I'm old and I don't like it. But it's funny. I've always thought Vanderbilt should be thrown from the SEC. I have no use for them. None. They don't belong. Get rid of them. And it's ironic to me that I'm now looking at this going, oh, I hate this, I hate that, I hate that, I hate this.
Well, here's the
I don't
other
hate
thing.
Vanderbilt people. I just don't think they belong.
Your nickname is the Commodores. It's not the boats. It's not the ships. It's not the Vandy aircraft carriers. So what the Foghorn to me is a real
I didn't know what you were going to say. That. What's the Foghorn?
To drag that in a Foghorn. So that is the reason I'm anti-foghorn.
I don't like foghorns. I don't know if they still do this, but this goes back. This is going to tie this back to a UT game. 1985, first game of the year, Tennessee versus UCLA. Tennessee gets a 16-point lead.
Yep.
And then UCLA with Gaston Green comes back, scores 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points to tie it, 26-26. And every time UCLA scored a touchdown, foghorn. They had a foghorn that they brought with them to Neyland Stadium. Maybe that was, as a child, I'm like, I hate foghorn. So I still hate it today, but not a fan of foghorn.
And the Bruins also. Wow.
That's right. They've such a great connection to foghorns.
Yeah.
The New England Patriots they've added a foghorn now. And
they have a lighthouse.
They put them on
you
lighthouse.
got a lighthouse. Okay.
I don't care. I still don't like a foghorn.
I can understand that.
Not a foghorn. It's too loud. It's annoying. All right. So we've added Georgia adults barking, Dixieland delight. Okay. What else we got?
How about
Let's go Texas A&M.
Texas A&M and their bell. Okay. And their bell and their bell and they're ringing the bell and the bell.
So 60,000 bells, not a problem. 1 bell,
correct,
a problem. See, you've been caught. You're now sitting there. I'm giving you time to think of an answer.
No.
Because there's no defense of that.
No, I'm okay with cowbells. Cowbells are grandfathered in from my childhood. Texas A&M, interloper. Just came into the league a few years ago, and William Shatner from Airplane 2 on the ringing and blinking and blinking. So no, the Texas A&M bell makes it for me.
That one doesn't bother me. I'm also not bothered by one you had for Texas A&M.
The yell leaders. Just to have seen the footage of them explaining to a crew, all right, here's what we're going to do. Here's how the yells work. And, of course, they're in their white uniforms, which when I see them, I can't help but think of a very specific Jack Nicholson line from A Few Good Men.
Oh, wow. Careful.
Exactly. But anyhow, I'm just saying, it just is weird. And I realize that it's their tradition and that's fine, but it's not one that I have to sign off on. And every now and then when they get into their act, I just can't help but think, well, this kind of looks like all is missing is the black and white and the grainy stripes that would come through a newsreel footage. Because it is. I mean, it's like a throwback to the 30s. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. What do they call their yell practice? What is their?
Yes.
Yeah, the night before thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that goes up there with the Hotty Toddy to me, where it's just, what is this? What are you doing? It's weird. And they come out and they do bad comedy, and it's just, yeah, some of that stuff doesn't make sense to me. But I don't have as much problem because I haven't seen Texas A&M here as much. And also, I think Texas A&M fits I think these things fit in as that's why they belong in this league. Hotty toddy at Ole Miss, I think it's goofy, but it's a very SEC thing. I think that A&M has that yell leader thing, the yell practice. I think that's very SEC. I think they belong because they're as weird as the rest of us, if that makes sense to you. So anyway, that doesn't bother me. If I had to go with something, I guess you could say the chomp makes noise and the chomp is in your face, but the horns up would get old, I suppose, I'm more bothered, if we're looking at Texas and Texas A&M, I'm more bothered not by the fact that they do this, but the fact that they cry anytime somebody does that.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a Texas tradition, crying that other people, you can't do horns down. And they ask the SEC, are people going to be able to do the horns down?
We're looking for protection.
Yes, from the horns down. That's just silly that's that's somehow offensive. Well, so's doing the Gator Chomp back at Florida, but I don't hear them crying about it. To their credit, they don't cry and go to the SEC. They're mocking our taunt.
Yeah.
I remember...
kind of throws them into the Yosemite Sam collection in terms of...
There you go.
Smoke them out!
So anybody have a problem with the hook 'em horns thing or no?
But I think that's two good Looney Tunes references. Foghorn, Leghorn, and Yosemite Sam.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with this at all. Okay. So Gator Chomp, yes. This, not. Okay, good.
Because that is less
loud. There's not a noise.
and it's less aggressive.
Okay. Did you hate the bell at A&M?
No, just the yell leaders.
Okay. All right. And you hated both or just the bell?
Yeah, I can go with hate both of them.
Okay. What else we got?
Let's see. I will say this, for any fan base that breaks into the overrated chant. It's not a tradition at a specific school, but I just wanted to take a quick moment to say it's the dumbest thing ever, and just stop it. I mean, you're diminishing your own team's accomplishment if you break out the overrated chant for the opponent.
Yeah.
So it's like, how could we ever beat them unless they were overrated?
Yeah, it's a sports tradition you dislike. Okay.
And I'll say this, more so than the Vandy Whistler, it's the manufactured Vandy baseball, Vandy boys attitude, to where it doesn't matter if they're up 10 runs or if they're down 10 runs. When they come home, they stomp home plate. And it's like, okay, I get it. You're a rough and tumble group of guys that aren't going to be denied. And it's the cleats, the bottom of their cleats are gold, and it's just kind of like, all right, again. All of this is just, it's drawn out. Okay. It's a PowerPoint presentation, and it's like, how can we look like we are tough boys?
I'm going to get punched if I say this.
Say it.
Fur coats and daddy hats?
That's a celebration.
Oh, okay.
It's in the dugout.
Yeah,
it's off the field.
It's normal. Yeah, it's normal. I'm just saying all these schools have different stuff. I just wanted to get your reaction to that one. I'm not saying
they do it on the field of play.
Okay, so that's the difference.
But again, and then they have their reserves.
Okay.
That when at the end of an inning of changeover, then they take mostly these pitchers and a couple of positions,
I got it.
and they run out into left field and they do a little clockwise run, and then they run counterclockwise and they do some hot yoga, and then they run back into their dugout. And again, it's all manufactured. It's like Clayton Holmes.
Which is a fun mobile home. All right, so anything Vanderbilt. I think you were going to have night games at LSU as one.
That's one.
Yeah, and I don't know, a tradition that Vol fans hate, night games at LSU. I get where you're coming from. It's just all of these. They're all hard to identify. Enough. But go ahead. What's the hate factor?
Well, they drink all day.
Right.
And it's the rowdiest crowd supposedly, and of course they break out the white jerseys and everything. And again, it's one of the things opposing teams have to deal with. Last time Tennessee went to LSU, thankfully it was an 11 a.m. local time kick, which was a different mood altogether.
Yeah, it was. Yep. Tennessee whooped them.
I just think that if you're talking about things that make it difficult and things that you're probably like, gosh, I hate being there when this is going on, it would be a Saturday night game at Tiger Stadium.
If we got anything else?
And what goes with that too is the throwing rocks at the opponent's bus.
Well, and shaking it.
Correct. Shaking the bus.
Shakes the bus.
So that was actually part of what I had gotten into. That is what leads to rock throwing and bus shaking. And from LSU too, how about bringing out poor old Mike the Tiger? I don't have a problem with horses, cows, pigs.
Anything on a farm, but if it's not on a farm.
But I mean, the poor old tiger sitting there and that thing. I never have liked Mike the Tiger being
Okay, but that's not that's a tradition you hate because you feel bad for the animal.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel bad for the poor old
What
tiger.
about Smokey running out there?
Smokey seems to like it.
Smokey howls.
They don't run the tiger around and he's not wagging his
What
tail.
did you feel about the Tennessee walking horse? The tradition that is no more.
The tradition is no more.
Occasionally.
Well, yeah, it's homecoming, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But not. Yeah.
I was influenced about walking horses by the way they train walking horses, so I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So it got back to something deeper than just the tradition of the walking horse.
Okay.
If the walking
that's
horse
what I was
has
asking.
been-
I was
yeah,
saying
if
about
the walking horse has been trained properly, I think it's cool. But tigers aren't used to crowds, whereas horses go to a lot of different horse things.
they gather, they go to parties all the time. All right. Hey, I do want to say that today's show brought to you by Hearthside Bank. And folks, they do a great job supporting us here at the Sports Source Digital Network. They also do a great job of banking up and down Southeast Kentucky, East Tennessee. They are way up there. Middlesboro is kind of the home spur, and they stretch up north into Kentucky, all the way down to Farragut here in East Tennessee. They are just fantastic people. That's the thing I want to stress. If you're looking for good people, there's some banking institutions now that literally they've replaced tellers with a screen, and it's someone sitting in a call center somewhere else, and you talk to a screen. Not a fan of that. If you like personal banking, Hearthside Bank is where you need to try. Visit them, hearthsidebank.com. All right, and also want to say, if you like this kind of content, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. If you disagree with our views, if you like something we don't like, if you don't like something we haven't mentioned, yes, if you're at another school and you want to scream back it up, that's fine. That's fine. And that's for most of this. Hotty Toddy's probably not in this, and barking like a dog is probably not. But a lot of these, if you're an opposing fan base, you should be looking at this as kind of a badge of honor. That, we're so under, like LSU fans should be looking at it, we make Saturday nights awful. They hate it.
That's a good point. So I'm taking everything from Vandy off my list. They deserve more.
Okay, so we don't have anything else to throw in, so let's just go ahead and start the...
I did want to bring this one thing to the table, and it's not for consideration. It's just the experience that was there. Before Kentucky moved into Kentucky Proud Park, its new baseball stadium, they played at old Cliff Hagan Stadium. And to be right there, your booth would be right behind what would be the stands. And there was this one Kentucky fan. Obviously, give him credit because he had traveled around all points in the Southeastern Conference. And so when you go to Ole Miss, they have a chant that's throw it in the dirt, which is also something they kind of stole from LSU. But anyhow, they have a throw it in the dirt. For LSU, it would be when it gets to ball 3, there's a guy who for years and years, for decades, has been ball 4. I mean, so it's every one of these things this guy's doing. Right. And so he brought the cowbell. He had a Kentucky cowbell that he rang. And then it's kind of like...
So Bob likes him.
So as he went from one inning to the next, he would do one thing from another SEC school. And finally I was like, oh, it's a cover band. It's kind of like, come on by. We've got the,
Steal this, we stole that.
Sure enough. The funniest thing, though, was at one point he did indeed call the Wildcats. So he did the Woo Pig Wildcats. And I thought, now it's one thing, you can call a hog and it will come.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can call cats. And they're just
not
going to
showing
turn
up, yeah.
and give you, they'll just wave you
I
off.
don't think you necessarily want the Wildcat to come either.
But it was just so funny that he was doing 5 or 6 things that are trademark parts of the atmosphere at other SEC baseball parks, and it was just hilarious that this one guy in blue was like, well, why don't you try and come up with something that's yours,
original,
as opposed to saying, here we go, we're playing the hits.
Yeah.
You want him dead?
No.
Okay.
But it was just hilarious.
A bit over the top.
It was just hilarious, especially the calling of the cats.
All right, so what we're doing, we got to get 6. We're not going to rank them. Let's just find the 6.
We're not going to rank them?
No. That's going to take forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to be very quickly come up with the 6, and here's what we need to do. We need to try and put this, the list is the ones that Vols fans hate the most. Okay, I don't think the A&M stuff's going to make it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
It needs
fine.
to be
Yeah, I
ball-
get
let's-
that.
We
A&M
wanted
hadn't been around enough.
We wanted to have
Yeah.
fun and list all the things that we hate. Now let's talk about the things that we think Tennessee fans will hate. So I'm going to run through this, and we'll see if we can start where we go with this. The Whistler at Vandy. Again, I think most of these are probably going to be football because that's more fans watch it than basketball, than baseball,
Right.
than down the road. So I don't know that the Vandy Whistler, I despise him, but I
Yeah.
don't know that he's on there because it's not a football game he's doing.
I'm going to defer to you guys on that one because of what you just, the outlining of it. And we're going to limit it to 6.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be a top 6er.
Well, I tell you what, let's come back and throw all the Vandy stuff in the hopper at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure
Because we
enough.
got a lot of
Gotcha.
it. All right.
All right.
Gotcha.
Glory to old Georgia over and over and over again. Is that one on there? I think Tennessee. I would put that on there because I think Vol fans have heard it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, especially in the last 15 years, maybe, whatever. So yeah, I would put
It's on there?
Yeah.
I'd put Georgia on there. Glory.
And now, do we put that on there or do we put grown men barking?
Oh wow.
I myself would go with the grown men barking.
You know what? Can I change my vote and go with grown men barking?
Do we
It's-
consider
I
that
mean,
a
if-
tradition? They do it
it's
all
there.
the time?
God, they do bark all
It's
the time.
there.
I mean, Georgia fans like to bark.
Georgia fans barking.
Yes.
All right, Georgia fans barking have made the list. All right, Gator Chomp,
Yep.
Oh yes.
without question.
Yep.
Gator.
And if we were ranking, that would be real high on
Yeah.
my list.
The Roosters crow.
Oh man,
I know you love it.
I just think it's funny. Rooster Crow.
I think it is.
All right.
I mean, you point out the perfect
Yeah.
thing that.
But it would annoy the hell out if you're sitting in there listening to it over and over.
Can I go with what would have been my numero uno? The benches.
Well, we're talking about Vandy later.
Oh, so we're going to say Vandy.
We're
Why
gonna
don't we
save
just
all
put
the-
Vandy?
Yeah.
I mean,
Anything
they're irritating.
Rammer Jammer or Dixieland Delight?
Dixieland Delight.
See, I'd go Rammer Jammer.
I think I would too.
Rammer Jammer bothers me more than Dixieland Delight.
You hear Dixieland Delight at the end.
since you've explained that it's about Tennessee, that just makes them look dumber.
One that I was going to say, but you've taken 2 out of the last 3. For about 15 years there, cigars to the winner of Alabama, Tennessee. I was watching them smoke every year. All right. Let's see. Yell leaders out. The Kentucky baseball guy out. Night games at LSU.
I guess
Boy,
not the.
I don't know. I think that one's. You don't play down there a lot, but
Right.
But when you do, there's usually stories.
yeah. I mean, the last time Tennessee went down
Well,
there
see,
at
I
night,
was
they broke the windows.
expecting you guys to come on strong. We've only got 2 spots left. We're saving Vandy,
Yeah.
and I thought you guys would definitely go in a direction.
What direction?
I thought you both would jump all over Cowbells.
Now, I don't know that Tennessee fans see Mississippi State enough. If we're talking what Vol fans hate,
Correct.
Okay.
plus
There you go.
I don't want to. Maybe all farmers are sitting out there like you, going, "I love that bell." I was going to say now a former Tennessee rival is Hotty Toddy, the Ole Miss.
Yes.
You've still played them a billion times. I think they're your 5th most played team in football still.
Correct.
But Hotty Toddy is just, again, I don't know that that's annoying as it is just weird,
Silly.
and goofy. Yeah.
So
LSU night game. What we have?
then I will go with LSU night games.
All right.
Because that is all LSU's. I don't remember Tennessee fans ever being accused of throwing rocks at the buses and rocking the buses.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good one. That's LSU night
Everybody
games.
talks about the Oakland Raiders being intimidating. Well, they set up in the stands and dress goofy. They're actually rocking your bus down at LSU.
Bit much.
Yes.
Okay, so that leaves us. Our choices are we could put Woo Pig Sooie, but you guys didn't have a problem with Woo Pig Sooie.
I didn't have a
You
problem
did.
with
You did.
with
You
Pig
did.
Sooie.
Yeah. Correct.
All right, we got the Whistler. We've got the benches at Memorial Gym. We've got the Foghorn at Vanderbilt. Didn't we have something else? We had that. the Mexican music they played last year over and over again.
Yeah.
Seemed like we had one other, but Foghorn, Whistler, or the benches.
Yeah, and the attitude.
General attitude.
Yeah.
Anything Vandy baseball. Vanderbilt.
That's right. Vandy
I'm going with the benches because you just don't see anywhere else in sports do you see that. And when I'm watching a basketball game, it just changes the way I look at the game. And I can remember, now that you can come up on the sides a little bit, okay, it's changed a little bit. But I remember sitting there from Tennessee men's coaches to Pat Summitt trying to communicate literally when they're way down there. And when Pat Summitt was coaching the Lady Vols, the gym was a lot fuller than just, a typical, the Lady Vols brought a lot of people in there. It was noisy. And I just seen Tennessee coaches over the years trying to scream.
I didn't remember Vandy's women playing in that gym. Go ahead.
So anyway, just watching coaches try to scream to the other end of that thing. It has always bothered me. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that here's the players and the fans are sitting there watching a basketball game.
I don't like that in any of the domed Final Four stuff because sooner or later some kid's going to go for a loose ball, fall off and break his leg because he's 14 feet in the air. It's stupid. I'm going to give you the choice: benches or Foghorn, because I would go Foghorn.
Oh, that's irritating too, and nonsensical.
Actually, I would probably go benches, but I want to leave it up to John to make a call here, so I'll go either way.
I would go with Memorial Gym, simply for the fact that it's been in place the longest. The Foghorn is a later addition.
Yeah.
As they're trying to institute that they might have some sort of
the things
21st century football tradition.
Talked about, it actually impacts the game. I mean, a bunch of drunk Ole Miss people sitting up there singing that hoity-toity song. I mean, it really doesn't do anything. But that impacts
flam, flam, bam, bam. I say, boy. All right. Do we want to try and rank these? Let's show everybody what we got first. All right. So these are the 6. The benches at Memorial Gymnasium in Vanderbilt. It is Memorial, right?
Correct.
I chopped out of my head that it hadn't added some
bank.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they do, it'll be
Hearthside Bank. LSU night games, which I wouldn't have thought of, so that's a good one. Rammer Jammer, the Rooster Crow at South Carolina, the Gator Chomp, and Georgia fans barking like dogs. Right. All right, I'll let everybody pick their number one.
My number one's benches. I hate the benches.
You hate that more than anything else?
Yes, I hate the benches more than anything else.
My number one's Dixieland Delight, but out of that list, it would be Georgia fans barking.
Okay. Mine would probably be Woo Pig Sooie, so mine didn't make it either. Or Cowbells. Actually, mine would be the Cowbells. That's too much. All right. Bob Hodge, John Wilkerson, thank you both. This is goofy fun. It's what this whole show is for. Thanks to you for watching. Be sure, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Again, if you're a Tennessee fan, you're like, how did you not mention blank? Mention it in the comments. If you defend any of these, that's fine. And if you're from another school, come on. Go ahead. Fire your shots back. That's okay. We know you hate Rocky Top and probably some other things. That's okay. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time on the Sports Source Digital Network on our show, Give Him 6.